We traveled along Highway 17 in a red truck, trying to escape the city because a hurricane was coming and it was going to destroy everything in that place, including Delia's warm and cozy house. Every time I saw the desolate landscape that formed that jungle of concrete and steel, I felt a strange sensation, as if I was not really on Earth. I was used to seeing industrial areas because, as a member of the Space Bikers, we always had to go to the factories of the ships to give ideas for new models and perform the respective tests. But no industrial zone looked like what I had seen, and I doubt that it is only in this part of the planet. It was terrifying because it seemed that the factories were endless, only faded by the mist of the distance. I was sure that if it were a completely sunny day, I would be even more terrified with the immensity of the colossus that created humanity, which ended up being its doom. Delia told me the following as we speeded down Highway 17.
This weather has worsened year after year. I would even say that every month it is more unpredictable. Sometimes there are extremely cold blizzards. Other times it is too hot. Sometimes it rains so torrentially that the streets are flooded, and the next day the drought begins. I don't know if you have noticed, Ivan, but many of the trees you have seen are dead.
What season of the year is this? It looks like winter, although I don't even know what country we are in to guess what winter looks like here.
We are supposed to be in spring, but the landscape looks like a permanent winter with trees without leaves. That would be normal if we were in Europe, in winter. But we are in South America, in the city of Lima. In the whole world, very few plants can survive. I saved a few flowers that I found in the outskirts of Lima and gave them care and love in my house. I am sad that this hurricane will destroy them.
I did notice the flowers. They had a very nice, unmistakable smell. Maybe we can find more in the future. Do you know what Lima was like before the world went to shit?
You are very curious, aren't you, Space Biker? I also had the same doubt a few years ago. I have seen pictures of Lima from a long time ago, before all the industrialization. It had nice things and ugly things, but it was definitely better than now. The coast had green areas with a lot of trees. There were gorgeous views in the sunset.
I used to go with my family to the beach after coming back from my missions. One of the things we liked the most was the sunset.
I'm sure you must have had a lot of fun with your family in those places. I imagine they made sand castles and swam in the beaches. Listen, I don't think I should talk about your family. I see that you are still sad. I'd like to do something to make you not like this, but I can't think of anything.
Don't worry. It actually calms me down when you talk. Extremely talkative little redhead.
Oh, you really think I'm a chatterbox too? Don't think I'm going to deny it. My teacher often told me to shut up because I talk too much in the classroom. Ivan, even with all this landscape full of factories, even after the apocalypse, the sunset is one of the things that remains beautiful. Sometimes there is beauty in such gloomy landscapes. Don't you think so?
It's a matter of perspective, I think.
Hey, you hear that?
Sounds like a squeaking noise in the rear. The car is vibrating too much. Slow down a little. Little one.
I just hope it's not. For fuck's sake, hold on, Ivan. Are you okay, Ivan? Thank goodness nothing happened to you in the crash. I don't think I got hurt either. Well, I guess this is it. The radiator is seriously damaged, and so is the suspension. Even if we change the tire, we won't be able to drive it. I'll get some things out of the car and we'll have to find a place to shelter. I wouldn't want to go to the industrial area, but it's the only part that will be able to resist the hurricane. Or at least I think so. I hope I'm not wrong. Don't forget to adjust your filter mask, Space Biker. The area we are heading to is extremely toxic.
I helped her take out her backpack and her laser rifle. She gave me a revolver in case we encountered abominations, or, as she calls them, soulless beings. In a matter of minutes, the weather conditions began to worsen. The deluge began to fall, accompanied with thunderstorms, to a point that you could not see more than 30 meters because of the amount of water that was falling from the sky. And that visibility distance was decreasing as the minutes went by. Dahlia was afraid that we would get hypothermia. She took my hand and we ran to whatever factory was on that street to take shelter. The door was locked with a padlock, but I gave it a shot and it could be opened. More and more water was falling from the sky. The redhead said,
Hey, we need to go to the highest part of this factory. Rain may flood the lower floor. Usually the rains contain strong toxins. I don't want us to risk it, Ivan. I don't want to put you in danger.
Okay, can you check that there is no danger upstairs on the second floor? I cover this area. When Dahlia reached the second floor, she stood still for a moment. I could tell she was agitated and her legs were starting to shake. I didn't know what the redhead was seeing that made her so afraid. Maybe it was a threat. I quickly went upstairs and saw what was on the second floor. There were several human bodies being modified in a production plant as if they were simple machines. They were undergoing processes to remove their organs and replace them with a mechanical system, and gas masks were added. Dahlia went down to the lower floor, and I could tell she was in complete shock. I left that sinister place and went downstairs too. When I got there, I saw her vomiting. I just sat by her side and waited for her shock to pass little by little. Because of the roar of the winds and the heavy rain, I had not noticed that she was crying. I gave her a hug to calm her down, even though we did not know each other very well. I felt a lot of empathy for her. When she was a little calmer, Dahlia said,
Ivan, I can't go in there. I still cannot overcome my fears and the pain of having lost my parents. I will follow you if you decide to take refuge in that factory of dehumanization. I will cover my eyes if necessary so as not to see it.
The girl had been through many horrible things, and one of them had been the death of her parents in one of those dehumanization factories. It was horrible to think that it was legal for people to die going into those factories, to have their minds and bodies stripped of all the things that made them human. Part of me knew that we were going to risk a lot if we left that place and looked for another factory to hide in. But I couldn't ignore the little redhead's feelings. Her face reflected infinite sadness. I told her to stay there for a few minutes, that I was going to look for another factory that wasn't one of those sinister ones. To which she replied,
You're not going to leave me, are you? Hell, what am I saying? You're actually free to leave me here. As you can see, I'm not that strong or that brave. Why do I overdramatize everything so much?
I caressed her hair. When I did it, for some reason, I remembered for a few seconds. My daughter, when she was afraid that I would leave her at school, and she started to cry. I took off my gas mask for a while so Dahlia could see me, and with a smile, I said to her, You are neither brave nor strong, but you are smart. That's why you are still alive. Everything will be fine. Little red-haired, dramatic, and talkative girl. Wait for me here, okay? Then I ran out into the street to look for a place to take shelter, but I heard footsteps behind me. It seemed that she did not want to leave me alone in these streets. She was still shaking, but it seemed that she had the ability to leave her fears behind to move forward. The wind, buffeting against the concrete and steel jungle structures, made a screeching noise that was difficult to tolerate. In a few minutes, we found a building that looked like a warehouse, with a destroyed wall through which we could enter. There were many boxes, and there was a metal door leading to the second floor, but it was blocked, and even if we shot at it, it wouldn't budge. I told Dahlia that we should climb the boxes in the warehouse and stay at the top. When we were on top of a large container, Dahlia took some thermal blankets out of her backpack, and we tried to rest there. She said to me,
Right now, I would listen to loud music to escape from my reality. For a few minutes, but I can't. My headphones could get damaged if I tried to do that with so much water falling.
What do you usually hear in these situations?
Essentially, the music my parents listened to. They were fans of death metal and post-punk.
It's dark and gloomy music, isn't it? My grandfather used to listen to that music, I think.
I still remember my neighbors when they were alive. They would knock on our door to make us turn down the volume. They didn't like that kind of music. For them, it wasn't music we were listening to. It was only screams. I just feel it's a different way of expressing feelings through music. It can be heavy or dark. But definitely that music is interesting and makes you think about a lot of things. And those death guitar solos really touch your soul. And that Joy Division lyrics. Hey! I'm getting too much into it. Now I'm just being a chatterbox. Someday will you share your music with me? Space Biker.
Well, if we survive this hurricane, that will probably happen someday. Try to get some rest, Dahlia. A few minutes passed, and she fell asleep, sometimes jumping up and down, as if she were having nightmares. I wondered if these nightmares had to do with the factory we were in recently. I tried to sleep too, but it was difficult with so much noise. After a few hours, the noise got even louder. Dahlia got up and said to me,
I can't sleep. The hurricane makes more noise than the music I like to listen to. Apparently, this hurricane is also a chatterbox.
I think it's the perfect time to share with you some of my mission stories in space, don't you think?
Thank you so much.
Why are you thanking me?
For being here. Tell me about that mission.
Well, there was a mission to Centuria 3. This was just to test the robustness of the new design of exploration spaceship, the Nostromo 5. On entering this completely gaseous planet, I had to test the agility of the ship, so I immediately felt a lot of G-forces in my body. I almost passed out. In a few moments, Dahlia was deeply concentrated in what I was saying. The situation reminded me of when I used to tell these things to my daughter when I came back from my missions to Earth. Dahlia, for some reason, had something in her manner that resembled Sophia, my daughter. Maybe after all the suffering I went through after losing my family. Maybe after all that, I had to go on with my life and take care of the redhead. Or maybe she would take care of me. But I would definitely have to move on with my life.